Hello, dear comrades. Recently, I went to the cinema to watch the movie Twister. Surprisingly, I missed the first part, despite the presence of actors like Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, and Philip Hoffman. It seems that some transitional classic between Terminator 2 and The Matrix passed me by, which isn't surprising given how old I was and what was happening in the world at the time. However, I don't think watching the first part is necessary at all. Twisters is more of a spiritual successor to Twister, where the main idea is retained, but it doesn't matter if it's connected or not. A sort of soft reboot or remake for a modern audience. It's like Gladiator and Gladiator 2, or say all the movies with Steven Seagal. The main thing is there's a weather phenomena and those who hunt it. Considering climate change and the increasing frequency of storms in Eastern Europe, the topic is quite relevant, even though tornadoes are more of an American thing. They even have a whole tornado alley running through the central USA, including Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, Nebraska, and South Dakota. The movie, as it happens, is set in Oklahoma. So, a meteorologist who has been obsessed with tornadoes since childhood, at some point becomes a victim of this very weather phenomena. Her team slightly miscalculated the wind strength, and she ended up being the sole survivor from the strike team, which had a significant impact on her psychological state. The girl moved to New York, where she took a slightly safer work, but then she was asked to participate in a new project. Initially just a bit, but with far-reaching intentions. And everything seemed to be going according to plan. But then she encounters a storm-chasing blogger, a daredevil cowboy, a tornado wrangler, and everything changes. I felt like this movie was a big hello from the past, somewhere from the late 90s. A simple and understandable plot and characters, pleasant special effects, and even some scientific elements, although I'm not a meteorologist, so I can't vouch for that. Later, while watching the credits, it became clear where it all came from. Steven Spielberg was one of the executive producers. Of course, there were many others involved in the making, but I feel like his influence was the most significant. I did mention that you don't need to watch the first part to appreciate this one. Perhaps it's even better not to watch it for a pure experience. But if you compare Twisters with Twister, I think the comparison isn't in favor of the first movie. In the original, the killer feature was the tornado itself, brought to life with the CGI, which is what earned it an Oscar, while the rest was a rather intimate story about saving a marriage under extraordinary circumstances. The new film, in my opinion, turned out to be more dynamic and polished. Naturally, the graphics are much better and more detailed now. When watching, you realize that practical effects couldn't achieve this, but not everywhere. But the CGI didn't feel out of place. The sound perfectly conveyed the weather, and I don't recall anything feeling off. The plot was modernized and improved. There were more interesting characters, even some subtle villains affecting the protagonist's motivations, and the impact of tornadoes on people's lives was shown in much more compelling way. The last point even gave me the feeling that Twisters was a kind of cinematic response from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party propaganda films, like Civil War. The movie doesn't push any agenda. People don't even kiss, except for the female protagonist. She's clearly a flip of Bill Paxton's character from the first Twister. But that's more about the zeitgeist. And besides, she's perfectly balanced by the second main character. The cowboy YouTuber, who's at first glance is a rough around the edges guy, but is actually a thoughtful scientist and an excellent organizer. He and his diverse team symbolize the middle ground, traditional America, descendants of the settlers who tamed the vast plains and built American civilization on this continent, unlike what you see in places like New York, from where the main character is put back to her roots. And the rodeo scene where these people tame horses and bulls, in other words nature, they fall, get up and keep going, shows how they are made of something strong. There's a collective Trump-like spirit here, make America great again one. But to me it's actually a pleasant picture, because you can really feel the cultural layers that forms there. In the heartland, the American countryside as it is, and the main characters are its flesh and blood. In conclusion, the film is a success. It captivates with its simplicity and sincerity, even its classic nature. The visuals are pleasant, the actors are great, the screenwriter rewrote the first Twister and did even better in my opinion, and the director carefully translated this into a cinematic experience. So, if you want to see the American plains, the people and the natural disasters, it's an excellent choice for a trip to the cinema or an evening watch with good company. I sincerely recommend it.